Welcome to Insanely Positive. Your oasis of joy when the world seems grey and full of grumpy faces. I'm Suzanne Freiherz. Thank you for joining me. I'll feed you buckets of joy to bring out your best self so you can live your best life. You are more than you think. You are more than the roles you play in your family, your job, in your life. Hello everyone, welcome to a new episode of Insanely Positive. Today, it's all about being yourself. And I want to start with saying that being yourself is easy. Today, we will find out who we are beyond words, roles that we play, stuff that we do, jobs that we have in our life. And we will answer one of the biggest questions that humans have. And that is, who am I? We will talk about what happens when you're not yourself and how life gets complicated and difficult, while being yourself makes life more effortless and easier and joyful and also more successful. A positive self-image is such a huge part of a positive mindset and of being happy and successful. This is already the second episode that I dedicate to the relationship we have with ourselves. And next time, it's still about a positive self-image, specifically the voices in our heads. Yes, we all hear voices, and we will do a practice to make sure that there is no negativity on the inside. So this is going to be so interesting and I hope so very, very, very helpful for you all. And I'd like to encourage you to subscribe to my podcast right now to make sure you don't miss the next episode. But back to the present, back to this episode. What do I mean when I say you're not your roles, you're not the roles you have in your life? For example, what roles could you have? Maybe you're a dad, you're a mom, you're a daughter, you're a son, you're a woman, you're a man, you're a doctor, you're a student, you're a teacher, you're a bus driver, you're an astronaut, you're a waiter or a waitress. So we all have certain roles in our jobs or in school and in our family, as well as among our friends. Maybe in your private life, you are best known for solving any technical problem. Or you always know the best food places. Or maybe you are the go-to person when someone needs a really good listener. Or you're known to always be calm and reassuring. And we all have certain roles among our friends and family and in our jobs. And these roles are important, and many of them, maybe even all of them, are wonderful and fulfilling. However, we don't want to lose ourselves in these roles completely. In the last episode, we talked about how important it is to have a positive self-image and a positive body image specifically, independent from our physical strength and flexibility and what we can do when we do sports. We did a thought experiment in the last episode that helps us to instantly see that we are so much more than the things our body can do. If you haven't heard this one, and you didn't do the thought experiment, of course, if you haven't heard it, so I highly recommend doing this. The last episode was called Positive Self-Image through the looking glass, you'll find you. So go there, do this, and enjoy this thought experiment. It's very helpful. This time we will look at the roles we have. So it's not about our bodies this time. If we completely lose ourselves in our roles and we don't know who we really are aside from our job and our roles in the family and among friends, what would happen? Well, as we all know, life is constantly changing. This maybe is the only constant in life, the change, the transformation. So when you're a mom or a dad, your kids will grow up and leave the house. And when you don't know who you are beyond being a mom or a dad, this will be very tricky for you. When you completely identify yourself with your work and you have to change your job, or in a few years, or maybe many, many, many years, you will retire, it will be hard for you. And I want to make things easier for you. I want you to enjoy your retirement. When you know who you are, when you know you're more than your job, you are more than the role you have in your family, you will be able to deal with and even appreciate change. Let me point out that no role, no job, no picture you have of yourself or others have of you is complete. No picture is complete. Think about your family. They know you in a very specific role. They know you as a mom, they know you as a dad, they know you as the daughter, the son, and they would be very surprised to see you in your workplace. They don't know you in this role. Also, the other way around, it's the same. Your colleagues know you as you are in your job, but maybe they can't even picture you sitting barefoot on the ground playing with your kids or doing the laundry, or maybe you're a great singer and they have no idea and can't imagine that you have a fabulous voice. And it happened to me a lot. There was once an incident. A colleague of mine said something that made me see how others have a specific picture of us and stuff us into a box without seeing that this is just one part of who we are. So what happened was, back then, it's a couple of years ago, I taught Yuna classes on a daily basis, and he knew me only in this context. And one day, he talked about how important it is to have a purpose in life and tasks that make you happy. And he took me as an example, and he said, Suzanne would become sick if she didn't teach every day. I was very surprised to hear that. I took a moment to check in with myself if that was true or not, and I realized it's not true. I loved the job I had back then, but I knew that if for some reason I couldn't do the job anymore, I would be okay. I knew that this job is a part of me, but not all of me. Okay, like your job is a part of you, but not all of you. And the roles you have in life, that's a part of you, but it's not all of you. And it was a couple of years later that I decided to make some changes in my professional life. And I can tell you that I don't teach on a daily basis anymore, and I'm very happy and I am healthy. So it kept happening to me, and I'm sure you can relate. Clients of mine met me somewhere on the street and they said, I almost didn't recognize you. I only know you in sports clothes. Now, isn't that interesting? People who came to me for years, a couple of times a week. And all I needed to do is switch my sports clothes to regular clothes, and they barely recognized me. It is so fascinating how strong these images that we have of others are. As I said, no picture is complete. What others see in us is only a part of who we truly are. Even the picture that we have of ourselves is incomplete. It's important, I think, to always keep that in mind. You are more than you think. When you know who you are, when you know you're more than the stuff you do, you're not so dependent on someone else's view or opinion. So it's a piece of personal freedom. You're not so dependent on others anymore. And whenever you feel like you're losing yourself in a role or in a task, I recommend doing the thought experiment I mentioned earlier from my previous episode. And you will immediately and clearly see what truly matters and that you are so much more than this task, than this role. In the episode I'm talking about, we did the thought experiment in relation to sports and to the physical body, but you can always use it for other areas in your life too. It works with all kinds of goals, private or professional. There are many humans who show us that it is possible to be successful, but still know that the job isn't all that we are. I recently watched a documentary about Hans-Peter Eisenle. He is a very successful mountaineer and rock climber. And he became famous for numerous first ascents to the Dolomites, and he does rock climbing till the 10th degree of difficulty. Now, although this is not my world and I can barely grasp what the meaning of 10th degree difficulty is, but I've seen him climb a horizontal wall in his jeans. Such an impressive human and such an impressive career. And he said something amazing. He said that the most important thing is not to reach the summit of a mountain, but to come home healthy. I thought this is amazing. This is so to the point. This is pure focus on what truly matters in life. I think we can all take this with us. When a task before you looks like a giant mountain, just remember this. Or when you lose yourself in your goals, remember this. It's not about getting up there. It's about coming home. And you really don't need to worry that you will lose focus in your job or you won't be successful anymore. On the contrary, the awareness that you're not your goals or your job gives you an inner stability that drives you and empowers you like nothing else. So keep in mind who you are, and you'll even make better decisions because you're not constantly struggle to prove something. This mountaineer, Hans-Peter Eisenle, said something else that I'd like to share because it's so valuable. And I was deeply impressed when he said that. He said he had turned around many times. When he wanted to climb up a mountain or a wall, but realized that it wasn't a good day to do so for whatever reason, he didn't climb up. And I think this is true strength. This is being clever. When you have this inner stability of knowing who you are, knowing what truly matters. You don't need to prove anything to anyone, not even yourself. And you can choose the right timing for the things you do. We all know this from personal experience, don't we? When we are not ourselves, when we have a negative self-image, we always think that we have to prove something, and we are struggling, and we are running from one challenge to the next challenge, and instead of trusting our guts and our senses and our logical mind. When we're not ourselves anymore, life becomes difficult and the flow is gone. There is a wonderful quote from Helmut Marko, ex-race car driver, and now he is head of motorsports at Red Bull. And he said, "You make mistakes when you're no longer yourself." I think we can all agree that there is truth in that quote. We all know that we make mistakes when we're no longer ourselves. When we lose ourselves in a role or in one task or in our jobs, in trying to meet someone else's expectations, then life becomes really challenging. And we attract people that are not good for us, and we make mistakes and we struggle and we try to please others. And even the things that are fulfilling, like being a mom, being a dad, or maybe you have a job that you really love with all your heart, even the things we love become a struggle when we forget that we are more than that. So, whenever life is one huge struggle, this is a sure sign that we're no longer ourselves. Let me tell you that you are too versatile to be just one thing. And please, from now on, always remember that you are more than the roles you have in your life. You are more than that. I have noticed that there are a couple of jobs that are specifically prone to getting stuck in this role. And I think everyone in the medical profession listening now knows very well what I'm talking about. You guys keep hearing about everyone's aches and pains, even when you're out for dinner or drinks and you would love to just have an evening as a private person. And yes, sure, you love your job, but you need and deserve to have a day off and be everything you are in spite of a medical professional. And it can be very, very frustrating and energy draining when others only see a part of you and they just don't realize that there is so much more to you. So let me remind all of us why it is so important to always know that you are more than the roles you have in life. When you invest all your energy into one role, one job, you have to suppress everything else that you are. All your other talents and interests and abilities have no space to breathe and to express themselves. And to keep everything else dormant is hard work. And here is the fantastic news. Being yourself is easy. Let me repeat that because no one ever says it. Being yourself is easy. As soon as you are yourself, life becomes effortless. We immediately make better decisions for ourselves. We attract people who inspire us and support us. And the famous flow of life comes back into our reality. Being yourself is easy. And when I say that, this big question comes up, doesn't it? Who am I? You know, whenever I hear "Who am I?" I think of Zoolander, a Ben Stiller movie where the protagonist, a male model, has a big crisis and he's wondering who he really is. If you like funny and silly movies, I can totally recommend Zoolander. I think it's hilarious and I've seen it a couple of times. But back to our episode and the question, who am I? Let's see what happens when you know who you are. Well, you have an inner stability. You are free. You're not dependent on someone else's opinions. You are powerful, and everything that you do is empowered by this inner stability. Because, why do you have so much more power? Because you don't have to invest so much energy in trying to keep all other aspects of yourself dormant. But instead, you allow everything that you are to express itself. Because as I said, it is hard work and it drains energy to squeeze yourself into a box. And also you can deal with changes when you know who you are. Because you know you're more than your job. And you can enjoy a new profession or your well-deserved retirement whenever that will be. You can be open to getting to know your kids again and again because they are changing. And we can allow our relationship to change with time. And we can see that every phase of life that we are allowed to experience together has its own beauty. And now, I think it's time to look at this big question. Who am I? As always, the answer is inside the question. And I invite you now to play with me. I'm asking you now, who are you? And I invite you to answer. You can think of your answers or you can say them out loud. I would guess that you told me your name or you told me where you live and maybe you told me what you do. And now I am saying, thank you for telling me this. That's wonderful. But your name, your home, your job, that's not what I meant. What I want to know is, who are you? So I'm asking again, who are you? And now you can answer. If you want, you can pause me as often and as long as you like. Think about your answer and then put me on play again. And I'm guessing now that I asked a second time, maybe you talked about your hobbies, your interests, all that, or maybe something else. Whatever the answer is, thank you for this answer. Thank you for sharing this with me. That's all great. But it is not what I mean. And we will keep playing this game. I'm asking again, who are you? And I invite you to keep playing. You can pause me, then put me on play again as often as you like. And imagine I keep asking the same question. And please take all the time you want until the moment comes. There will be a moment when I ask you, who are you? And you'll find yourself shrugging your shoulders and your head is completely empty and nothing comes to mind. This is the moment. This is the magical moment when you don't have anything left to say. There is no word in your mind. That's the moment you've reached the essence of who you are. This is you. You are beyond any description, beyond roles, jobs, skills, beyond all words. Beyond all that is you. You are so much more than you can think. You are unique. You are indescribable. An untold tale. You are versatile, multidimensional, much too big to fit into a box. You are pure, fantastic life force. A miracle. I hope you've played with me until you've reached this magical moment where everything inside is empty, except for a silent amazement when you begin to realize how magnificent life is and that you are this life. I hope that today and every day you live as if your life was a miracle, because it is. Because never before has this life created a body like yours, and never before has life created this amazing mix of talents, desires, and abilities. And never before has anyone ever smiled like you are smiling right now. And allow me to remind you once more, you are unique. You are a perfect manifestation of pure life intelligence. I would like to end our time together with one of my favorite quotes from Oscar Wilde, who said, "Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken." So when you're not yourself, something is missing because no one can be you. Only you can live this life in your unique way. Only you can occupy this space in our world. Please treat yourself like the miracle that life is, that you are, and treat everybody around you the same way. Be yourself to make sure that you don't schlep yourself from day to day, but instead you dance from day to day. And whenever you stumble or fall, just remember what is truly important in life. What makes you the amazing human that you are. Remember, it's not about getting to the summit, but about coming home safely. And I invite you to make it a habit to come home to your inner stability and let this empower your whole life. And let me say it one more time because it's so important and we all need to hear this. Being yourself is easy. And now all you need to do is live your muchness and live your uniqueness. my biggest thanks for listening, for tuning in again. And next time we will talk about inner voices, about how to transform negative self-talk into positive self-talk. Woo! In the meantime, I invite you to have a look at my website, yuna.com, yuna.com. There is a lot more on self-care, on positivity. Also, I wrote an article about true strength because I mentioned it today. True strength. There is a lot more on living from the heart, and you can do classes with me, you can do courses with me, you can do videos with me. There's a lot for you there that I think and I hope you will like. You will find a link to the website in the show notes. Please subscribe to my newsletter to make sure that there is always a positive email in your mailbox. And I invite you to connect via Instagram. It's @SuzanneFreiherz. And just, talk to me about the podcast, what you like, what you would love to hear in the future. And the podcast is also available in German, auf Deutsch. That could be interesting for you if you're maybe learning German, or you are fluent in German, or maybe you know someone who would enjoy my show in German. Thank you again so much for spending time with me. Until we meet again next time, let positivity pervade your heart, your thoughts, your words, your actions, and everything you are and do. And remember, create joy and bliss, shed the negative. The new normal is insanely positive. Woohoo!